A stormy Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. Welcome into the afternoon press box, 1510 NBC and Yahoo Sports Radio in Boston. Of course, that was head coach of the New England Patriots, Bill Belichick, at his weekly press conference today, talking about a wholesome Thanksgiving. I like how he just has fun with the holidays anytime he goes through it. Darwin Zook, John Sapichetti with you here, and Andy Hart on a Wednesday joining us as always from Patriots Football Weekly and Comcast Sportsnet New England. You can follow him at Jumbo Hart on Twitter. Welcome, fellas. You made it in. Traffic was a little crazy out there, huh?
It was.
Yeah.
And I don't know why. We were talking about this off the air. I think people just assume there's going to be traffic, so it's like this self-fulfilling prophecy. They go somewhere and create traffic.
Yes. It was like this would have been a good day for your boat.
Yes, the slots are opening up out here. I could have
Yeah.
although the weather's a little tough.
Yes, battling the
Bill
elements.
Belichick cheerier than the weather right now.
Yes, he was, of course. I mean, coming off that win, if they hadn't had that comeback, would he be as cheery about Thanksgiving? Probably not.
Probably not.
Yes.
The red line worked great today. Plenty of time, worked like a charm. I was here with hours to spare.
Yes, I did half expect to see you bombing through the elements, like end of Patriot games, Harrison Ford at the boat, just bombing in there with fire and rain, and there comes Andy Hart up to the pier. Phone lines open all day today, 617-237-1234, 617-237-1234. Andy Hart with us till 5 o'clock. Scott Lauber from the Boston Herald, Red Sox reporter, he'll join us at 5:05. Get into a little hot stove talk, because I know, Sap, you are... you need to have your fill of baseball and little Red Sox, even though it's the offseason. It's very important. And Hall of Fame ballot, we'll go over that as well.
I'm ready. The more of the baseball, the better. I know it's Thanksgiving, but it's baseball season.
Can you put it off for a couple hours so we talk a little more Patriots? You got your Brady Jersey Day here at the station.
Jersey Day, so I wore my second favorite quarterback's jersey, Tom Brady.
Of course, I know you so well now. I know all your favorite players. Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers,
yes.
number one.
Along with LeBron James.
Yes,
and in the
basketball
NBA,
player.
yes,
I'm a weird guy, but that's okay.
Yeah, very different people, Rodgers there and LeBron James. But, Andy, reaction, we haven't had Jen. Of course, we had Ron Borderson yesterday. 24-0 comeback at halftime. You know, the Patriots saying we're looking ahead, Houston and all that, and this was just another game against Denver. But in reality, it certainly wasn't another game the way they came back from that deficit.
No, that was huge. And, the turnovers. The Patriots dug the hole with the turnovers in the first half, and then, they piled up the rocks to climb out of the hole with the turnovers in the second. And I thought the play of the game, give them credit. They drove right down the field to say, we're not packing it in here. That was a very impressive drive out of halftime. And then the Dane Fletcher hit, which was a good, solid hit, but I think it was still sort of a soft fumble for Monty Ball, who has had his issues this year.
A Ridley-type fumble.
Yeah, a little bit of a Ridley-type fumble. Everybody in that game sort of lived up to their resumes of, throwing fumbles and, Brady coming back and Manning sort of, showing the Manning face at times in the second half, all of that. But just another Patriots game against Manning, whether it's the Colts or the Broncos, that lived up to the sort of the entertainment factor that, it was going to come down to the end and you got your money's worth.
One thing I've been thinking about through this week with Tom Brady, of course, the last 3 weeks he's been sensational. All the questions of Brady, has he lost a step, has he lost something off his arm, and the...
Manning has.
Yeah, Manning certainly has, at least in cold conditions we saw at times. But is it this another example of, okay, now the Patriots, we know the deficiencies on defense and the guys they've lost throughout the beginning of the year. Offensively, they've gotten guys back now and they're healthier, but it seems to me we're going in the direction here, and I don't mean to be pessimistic after this win, but it's going in the direction again where you need Brady to play great. Not just great, sensational, for this team to really have a chance to go back to the AFC Championship game, back to the Super Bowl. They need him at that high level. I don't see this team winning a 13-10 type game anymore against a good team.
Well, on one sense, they've shown themselves to have that type of fight, resiliency. I think 2 weeks in a row they played in a playoff-type atmosphere. One was a loss in Carolina, but they fought right to the finish there. And then against the Broncos. But I do think you're right. The defense is what it is at this point. Now they're down 7 starters. I mean,
right.
Fewer and fewer numbers of people who started the season are still playing. And, you see one of them, Chandler Jones, gets the Defensive Player of the Month in the AFC. But, that they need the offense to be the leader of this team, and I know fans are worried, like you. That's sort of the cynical New Englander. We've played this game before. When we don't have a defense and we count on the offense, at some point, the offense runs out of gas.
Specifically Brady, not even the running game, it's really Brady.
Well, the running game has its own issues right now.
Exactly.
It's part of that because of, the Ridley question. What do you do with him? And are we just seeing sort of the ascension of Shane Vereen and maybe the end of Stephen Ridley's run as the lead back for this team?
We talk about defense, and you look at last year's Super Bowl team, the Baltimore Ravens. They had a very old, experienced defense, but a defense that gave up a lot of yards. They gave up over 400 yards in pretty much all of the postseason games even against the Patriots in the AFC Championship game. But they had the bend, don't break mentality.
Right.
What they did in the red zone was one of the reasons that they won the Super Bowl. So we're not going to see a lights-out defense. There's no more 85 Bears or 2,000 Ravens. A defense that plays well in the red zone, creates turnovers, can be good enough to win a Super Bowl, provided the offense is up to par. And right now, with his weapons back, Brady playing much better the last 3 weeks.
But we've seen this in history before. This is what I'm getting at, though, is that it's not just, the running game when Ridley's not fumbling the ball, it's great. Everything's dandy. But now it's more on Brady's shoulders again. And if you go into a playoff game, what if Brady plays an average game? If he just plays an average game against Denver, an average game they lost against Carolina, but they'd be way out of that game if Brady hadn't led them back in it. It's just the pressure now on the 36-year-old Brady, and not to say he can't handle it, but we've seen this in the playoffs through the years where the defense struggles, they don't create the turnovers they're used to creating, and Brady makes a couple mistakes, and all of a sudden you're out of the game.
And we've seen him struggle to string together playoff games in recent years. He'll have one good one, and then it seems like it's followed up by one where he struggles a little bit, he makes a couple mistakes, there's some sort of dig a hole or whatever, and they can't climb out of it. And it is what it is, though. I mean, I don't see any, even forget the 85 Bears and I would take the Patriots defense from September right now. That would be light years ahead of what they are, because right now I think they're just hanging on against the run. And I know clearly they didn't want Manning to beat them, but I don't care what the game plan is, to give up 280 yards on the ground. And quite frankly, they were, to me, a hair away in overtime from an 80-yard run to just end that. They give the Broncos the ball.
Well, that was the danger. It wasn't Manning leading him up the field. Right. It was just gashing one for 50
I had visions of Ray Rice against the Ravens. Yes. They took over at the 20, and it was like, twice I thought Sean Marino had a chance to break a long run that would have ended the game, and the wind would have been irrelevant because they were running the ball. So, at some point in that game, I think you needed to realize Manning can't throw. Even though he drove, right before the end of the game, the second to last drive, he drove into the wind, 80 yards, scored. He couldn't throw the ball more than 10, 15 yards. It was fluttering. It was like he was trying to put touch on everything. He just couldn't do it. Even Brady at times struggled trying to drive it through the wind. I don't know if it's his arm at this point in his career. I don't know if it was all the wind, if it's that ankle. People sort of forget. 2 weeks ago we watched him labor to even get off the field, and they've done a nice job just keeping him on the field. But I think the run defense now, I think it's like 4 of the last 5 games you've allowed the opponent to have better than 5 yards a carry.
Well, they're 32nd in the league now.
I mean, that's going to be an issue at some point. You can't sell me on
in a playoff environment.
No, it just isn't. And I know, there's probably not a lot of teams that fans are quote unquote afraid of. I mean, you look what's out there.
Certainly not in the AFC.
Maybe the Broncos. You just went down to the wire with them, almost tied with them. And then even, in the NFC, okay, Seattle is a good football team, but they're so different on the road. What are they going to be in MetLife Stadium? They could lay an egg in the Super Bowl because it's a road game.
And they have their own little turmoil now in the secondary with their defensive players. We've seen that. The Saints are great at home, but who knows?
That failed drug tests.
Yes. Pete Carroll. Someone doesn't like Petey Boy Carroll over there. That doesn't.
They didn't get the memo how to
something. Right. Exactly. Something's missing in Seattle.
Yeah.
Manny Ramirez there to help them out. See if we got any kind of growth hormones to cover up.
Yeah, he could be a special counselor.
You just look at this. Someone's going to hoist the trophy the first Sunday in February. Somebody.
Wait a minute.
That's the rumor.
Oh.
And it's going to be probably cold.
Maybe in the snow. Yeah.
In the snow. But
they won't
it's going to be an imperfect.
No, just be snow.
Just be snow coming down.
Spray paint it blue and red.
Yeah, exactly. But someone's going to win the title this year, and it's going to be an imperfect team. I mean, I'm sticking with San Francisco because when they're on, they appear to be the best team in football. They have that defense. They can run the ball. They've got some weapons on offense. If Crabtree comes back, that looks to me like a complete team. But who knows? I mean, someone's going to outlast everyone else. And you look at Brady and some of these poor performances in the postseason, you can also tie into the health of Rob Gronkowski.
Yep.
Not there in Super Bowl 46 against the Giants, not there in last year's postseason. Their offense is completely different when he's on the field. It's that much better.
And for a couple weeks now, their playmakers have been out there and making plays. Shane Vereen was projected to be a big part of this offense. 2 weeks in a row, he catches 8 passes. He's a big part of the offense. Rob Gronkowski is getting into the end zone. Not huge games, but he made some big plays. He was in the middle of the field, and you saw how excited Brady got when he hit him on that touchdown. Almost had a stroke or a seizure. I don't know what the hell was going on there.
They have their own little language. We'll play a clip later on. Brady talking about that today.
It's a little weird, though. Like, you'd expect that from Gronk, but, Tom is the pretty boy, GQ.
Yeah, but
Next.
you're around it. You know that more than anything. His podium personality very different than his on-field
Yeah, but that was
personality. and how
weird
he
even
does
for
it.
him. Like that
He
was
took it up a notch. For
that
him.
was
Yeah.
incomprehensible. Whatever that was,
Unacceptable.
Planet.
What might be
No, I liked it
incomprehensible.
actually.
Yeah, it's enjoyable. Anytime Brady gets jacked.
Anytime
like
he doesn't
that,
look perfect, I like it.
Right. Yeah, it makes
I like
everyone else
perfect
feel
fine.
better. Yeah. Yes. Aaron Rodgers sometimes has that perfect element
Yes,
about
the mustache
him as well.
doesn't fit him well. Though.
No, it does not. That's a bad.
Bad
Oh,
mustache.
one playmaker you didn't mention yet, Julian Edelman, and his progression. 1 year, basically signing minimum contract.
Yep.
You sign Amendola, he's the guy that's supposed to replace Welker. I asked Ron Borges yesterday, I said, hey, right now, and I know that depending on alignment and personnel in the field, Amendola and Edelman could be out there together, but some situations they're not. Who do you want as your slot guy in a must-win game tomorrow? Do you want Danny Amendola lined up in that slot in a big 3rd and 4, or do you want Julian Edelman right now? Who are you more comfortable with?
I'd probably take Edelman. I just think with Amendola, he's not healthy. We were sold on this idea that once the muscle tore completely from the bone in his groin, that was better.
Yes.
Well, no, it's not.
Yeah, I remember you were in, and you were like, I don't know what that means.
I don't understand. Now, maybe pain-wise, maybe
Yeah.
it took some of the pain away. But I'm a firm believer that God put things in my body for a reason, and when they're not working, that's bad for my body on some
Yes.
level. That everything's there for a reason, or if you don't believe in God, we've evolved because of a reason, and so I think he's just limited physically. He's a more explosive guy. What do you have, like 3 catches for 17 yards? I mean, he's
Well,
a
who's more explosive?
Amendola is
But
a more
Edelman on
explosive
punt
guy.
returns the way he can.
No, when healthy, Amendola is the more explosive player, in my
Okay.
opinion. But he's not healthy, and I don't think he's going to be healthy. You're getting this half Amendola for the rest of the way, even
Right.
if he can stay out there. Whereas, Edelman, he's always been more comfortable, too, it seems, when he knows he's going to be a part of the offense, when he's going to be out there all 4 quarters and kind of contributing. He struggled at times in the years where it was just piecemeal. We're going to need you on a big 3rd down play in the 3rd quarter, and it seems like he struggled to catch the ball, get in flow.
Well, as you know, a lot of athletes are like that too. It's such a rhythm
He has to be
thing.
hot and loose and kind of in the
Shooting
flow.
basketball.
Yeah,
Right.
and I think he is that. So that's another reason why, if I'm going to sort of count on him, then I'm going to want him out there more often. And certainly on punts, he has a knack. He's special there. He can hit, not huge ones, but it seems like he always hits that 20-yarder you could use to get you in position to score and make things happen.
And it seems like the Patriots have some personnel decisions now in big spots. Now, obviously, Amendola and Edelman will both be a part of active rosters in
Yep.
big games, as will Hightower and Fletcher, and some other decisions they have to make of who
We need
gets.
to talk about Hightower at some point.
Well, that's what I wanted to get into right now. There's a little bit either or with a few of these guys. When are they going to use them, and who gets the bulk of the time in big spots? When you look at Hightower and Fletcher, I know Fletcher against the run, he's an undrafted guy, he's a little undersized, but his energy that he brought in the 3rd quarter, I thought him and Tompkins both brought something
Yep.
to the table to start that second half. Fletcher, not just a fumble, but his energy, the way the defense kind of rallied around him a little bit just from watching on TV and seeing the way the defense responded. Do they have a decision to make there a little bit in terms of who gets a bulk of that time, Hightower or Fletcher? Obviously, Hightower's a more talented player, but the way Fletcher looked, it's hard to argue with the results that he produced Sunday night.
And another aspect of that, and not a lot of people have talked about this, and I'm not sure why, but Hightower was banged up. There was a screen pass late in the 2nd quarter. They gave up like 26 yards. It was a terrible play. On 3rd and 29, they gave up.
Yeah, the screen, and Hightower looked like he couldn't even catch the running back there.
He tweaked a leg, a knee, something, and he stayed on the field. I think he made like one more play, a short tackle, and then he got off, and we never saw him again. I don't think that was just a coaching decision. I think he was dealing with something in that game, lower extremity, knee, muscle, whatever it may be. Now, he was on the practice field today. He was out there, so we'll see how that goes. But I think when the injury report comes out at 4 o'clock, you're going to see him listed with something on there. And I think that was a big factor in that. Now, Fletcher took it and ran with it. I
Yeah.
think he played well. He made that forced fumble. That was,